Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. No, not another festive edition, but a plea for snow with a month to go. I'm John.
And I'm Michael. This is Anything But Footy. We talk about the Olympic and the Paralympic Games all the time, not once every 4 years. Now, there's another famous song in the UK. It's called John Ketley is a Weatherman. John Cushing definitely isn't a weatherman, but we'll have a go at trying to find out where the snow is for Milano Cortina 2026, which is this year now.
Exactly. Fortunately, our sliders don't need any snow, just ice in Cortina for the Games in 4 weeks' time. As Michael says, we'll start a special little series with British bobsleigh hopeful Adele Nicoll on her journey to the Games.
Just finished the first World Cup races in Cortina, so this was combined with a World Cup race and the Olympic test event.
We'll round up the rest of the news from the Games as well.
Michael Weddock's Winter Wonders,
including confirmation of the ice hockey arena test event in Milan.
This is Anything But Footy. Stay in touch all the time with our socials and our latest blogs on our website, anythingbutfooty.com.
Hi, I'm Lila Fear.
And I'm Lewis Gibson, and you're listening to Anything But Footy,
with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
So no snow for the men's downhill in Bormio. Everything is beginning to rhyme today. The rather stark headline doing the rounds this week as we build up to the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics 2026, which is now this year. Snowmaking has emerged as a key concern as organisers prepare venues across northern Italy. Even the British head of the International Ski and Snowboard Federation, President Johan Eliash, has urged organisers to ensure there is money in the pot for shipping in snow. He says the temperatures are so high, the snow cannons, 53 additional ones in Livigno, can only produce during the night, not in the daytime, so not enough will be made to stage the Olympic events. Now, Eliash, who stood to be the president, of course, last year of the Olympics and lost out to Kirsty Coventry, has reiterated his idea for just a handful of venues for the Winter Olympics in the future to cut costs. He says for a World Cup, they'd be shipping in snow already to ensure the events take place, and he says there's no such plan B for the Winter Olympics. Now, Milano Cortina Games organisers have said once again the venues will be ready on time and they are confident of the snow provision. But this is one of the things we've been talking about, Michael. We won't have fake snow at these Milan Games. We need a bucket load, don't we?
Yeah, we have been talking about it. I do feel a little bit like it's the usual pre-Olympic news agenda in full effect. It's people trying to get their name or their organisation name in the headlines. But that said, the weather situation is one which recreational skiers have been experiencing over the holidays as well. If you were trying to get away into Europe, into the Alps, looking for some snow or snowboarding, skiing over the Christmas, New Year break, you'll find that there was very limited snow in Europe, causing one or two challenges for the ski holiday operators. But we've got some other bits and pieces of Olympic news, which is part of that pre-games build-up. We're talking about Russia again, aren't we? So briefly, Russian athletes have been told they can't compete under their flag, their national emblems, even if a peace deal is reached in Ukraine. So there'll be no Russian national anthem. And you know, I love an opening ceremony story. International music superstar Laura Pausini, no, never heard of her, will be performing at the opening ceremony at the San Siro on the 6th of February. She's the only Italian artist in history, he says, reading Wikipedia, to have won a Grammy Award, Latin Grammy Awards and Golden Globe, and also have an Oscar nomination. I'm presuming Mariah, who's also on the bill, won't be singing All I Want for Christmas. Because I always find that, you know, when Elton did Glastonbury, yes, and he's like, this is all my hits, or Paul McCartney does Glastonbury, goes, I'm going to do my whole back catalogue. I'm like, didn't do the frog chorus, Paul. Didn't do Step Into Christmas, Elton.
But we may need Mariah Carey to appeal for the snow, because that's the thing. Even on the opening ceremony, we may need her to. All I Want for Christmas is some snow. I think you're right. I think we're 4 weeks away, and you always get these headlines, as you rightly say. But just on Bormio, I mean, Eliash has said there is no snow whatsoever for the men's downhill. We know the women's, of course, is being held in Cortina. So look, plans will be being put in place to make sure that all this happens. But looking at the forecast, you said John Ketley is a weatherman, John Cushing weatherman. I've been looking at AccuWeather, looking at some of the other forecasts. I reckon next weekend or the week after, that's when they're beginning to say that there could be some significant snowfalls, certainly in the Bormio region. So look, it'll be fine. Chill, relax. Like we said about the ice hockey arena, which I've got an update for you on from our last podcast. The dates have been confirmed for the much needed test event for the brand new Milano Sant'Eligio ice hockey arena in Milan. Fears the venue would not be ready and the rink would be too small had been voiced, of course, last month. The original test event was then delayed in December, but I can tell you from January 9th, so next week, from the 9th to the 11th, there will be 7 games across 2 tournaments. We're going to see the culmination of the Coppa Italia 25-26 competition and the 92nd IHL Serie A Italian Championship, something on Michael's radar, I'm sure, for the last few years. They will be taking place over the 3 days. They are going to test out the event, and there's also tickets on sale as well to see how the spectator situation works out as well. So, what did I say? It'll be fine. Chill. Relax.
You could be president of the IOC. You could. Now, this year on the podcast, we are getting a unique insight as we look ahead to these Winter Olympic Games. This unique insight is into the World Cup bobsleigh season because one of the members of the British 2-woman bobsleigh crew is keeping her own audio diary for us in the build-up to the Games, which is actually where her season began, Cortina, because that was where the test event was and the first World Cup event of the season. But as we hear, preparations have not been ideal.
My name is Adele Nicoll and I am the pilot for the Great Britain's #1 British bobsleigh team. We have just finished the first World Cup races in Cortina, which is actually going to be the Olympic track in February. So this was combined with a World Cup race and the Olympic test event. I think the training period went fantastically. I believe that I learned the track very well. I picked things up quickly and still lots to learn, but I'm really confident with what we did learn in that space of time. We went into the monobob race knowing that my starts were not going to be competitive due to my recent injury. So 12 months ago, I ruptured the ATFL in my right ankle, which is the main stability ligament. And then most recently, I had quite a few injuries to my right knee. I was actually just training and I put new spikes into my running spike shoe and they got stuck in the ground. So when I was running, I was still going forwards. Although I was decelerating, the spikes got stuck into the track. I had a really bad hyperextension injury as my knee went backwards as my body continued to move forwards. So there was actually a lot of different injuries that were sustained at that time, and I was put into a knee brace and was not walking or weight bearing for the first couple of weeks. And then we've had to work very closely with the medical team and the S&C team to get myself in the position I am now, back on my feet and healthy, ready to start to build again. When we went to the 2-woman event, Ashley and I were able to put a push together that was able to get us another run, because you have to make the top 20 to get the second run. And with mine and Ashley's pushing, just making the cut and my drive kind of putting us back in the race, we managed to get that second run. So I'm really happy and proud of Ashley for giving her best performance despite me not being anywhere near full fitness right now. But I'm really happy with the runs that I put together on the track as well. I feel like it demonstrated a good amount of knowledge on the track, and I just hope that I was able to make the coaches proud and make everybody that was watching me proud. I think that it's so easy to get caught up on trying to win every race or be, top 10 in every race, but realistically with where we are, I wasn't walking just over 8 weeks ago. I was on crutches, I wasn't weight bearing. So I think we've had a really good turnaround. I think that we've learned a lot, and I'm looking forwards to the rest of the season and then coming back in February and continuing to learn and implementing the things that we think that we nailed down in Cortina this time around.
That's Adele Nicoll, who competes alongside Ashley Nelson and Kaya Placide for Great Britain, and is giving us her take on this season's Bobsleigh World Cup Series. We could call that an exclusive, couldn't we? An exclusive audio diary from Adele for Anything But Footy. So after a 17th place finish in their season opener in Cortina, they were off to Innsbruck next, where Adele finished 19th in the monobob, which, as we were hearing there, she uses to try and sort of just familiarise herself with the track ahead of the two-woman event. She then finished 19th in that two-woman event alongside Kaya Placide.
We were just at Eagles in Innsbruck, Austria, and it is known, its reputation is that it is a starter's track. It's very difficult to find speed on the track. It's a very flat track, so we knew we were going to be disadvantaged there with where we are with the starts at the moment. So it was one of those fighting weekends. We wanted to make sure that we put ourselves in the top 20 to get 2 runs. We did that, and we just want to build now from here. I think we've come away with lots of learning with the push starts. I think that I'm really happy with how the driving is going, and we've got some good equipment, but we do need to work on our pushing to be more competitive with the best in the world. So that's what we're working on this week in Lillehammer. And yeah, we go again, and it's World Cup race number 3. What's difficult, I think, is that we are fighting on the World Cup, which is so competitive at the moment, and it is the most competitive cup in the world. And obviously there are the Europa Cup and the North America Cup, where it would questionably be much easier to pick up ranking points. But we have decided to be where we are and, you know, be confident in our abilities to compete. So we're just going to keep pushing forwards, and I will update you. Watch this space.
And we can tell you that Adele finished 13th in the monobob in Lillehammer and 13th in the two-women bob, back with Ashley Nelson. Now, in the next event, Seguida, Adele finished 16th in the monobob and 11th with Kaya. And next up, there was a short break for them all over Christmas before the season resumed just this weekend after we are recording. And that was in Winterberg in Germany. And I can tell you that Adele finished 12th in the monobob and 18th with Ashley Nelson in the two-women bobsleigh. Britain's 4-man bobsleigh crew, by the way, of Brad Hall, Leon Greenwood, Taylor Lawrence and Greg Cackett finished 4th at the same event. And we look forward to catching up with Adele on the next episode of the podcast.
We should definitely say it's an Anything But Footy exclusive. Let's start bigging this up. Over the next few weeks, we'll hear more from Adele. Great to hear that. And thank you, Michael, for organising that. And just on the 4-man bob, that's their best finish of the season so far. So with the Olympics 4 weeks away, 5 weeks for the bobsleigh, getting into form. This is what we like to see. So we'll keep you bang up to date. And in fact, our latest news from the games is coming up next.
Tonight's meal, tilapia surprise with boiled cabbage. Begin cooking steps 1 through 50 now.
Are you kidding me? Making dinner shouldn't feel like doing a 1,000-piece puzzle. With Blue Apron's new one-pan assemble and bake meals, the hard part's already done. Pre-chopped ingredients, zero stress. Just assemble, bake, and enjoy. No complicated steps, no mountain of dishes. Try Assemble and Bake today. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Hi, I'm Eve Muirhead. I'm Chef de Mission. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
Michael Weddock's Winter Wonders.
You're listening to Anything But Footy. We talk about the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games all the time, not just once every 4 years. Let's bring you up to date with some other snow and ice news. Plenty to round up over the Christmas and New Year break. We'll start with Charlotte Banks and Hugh Nightingale. They won the mixed team snowboard cross event in Italy, so they are looking good ahead of the games. Zoe Atkin won gold in the half-pipe World Cup events in the US at Copper Mountain, so that was back-to-back World Cup wins for Zoe. Gus Kenworthy, who we heard from in a recent episode with GB Snowsport, finished 4th at that event. Liam Richards finished 9th. I was also watching over the weekend Gus, who was competing in Canada, unfortunately failed to complete either run, but that is half pipe for you. In alpine skiing, Dave Riding finished 15th in Atabadia, with Laurie Taylor finishing 18th and Billy Major 31st. In cross country, a career best 5th place finish for James Clugnet in the Tour de Ski. That was the 5 5K mass start event. Joe Clark finished 6th. Again, his best ever result in the 10K mass start event. Andrew Musgrave came home in 8th. We also, over Christmas, heard about Menna Fitzpatrick and an injury which she sustained in December whilst training for the Steinbach World Cup event. So what we've heard from GB Snowsport is that she's going to have a targeted rehabilitation that will keep her out of competition throughout January. The aim will be that she will get fit again then for the Winter Olympics in March. So while she'll be fit, she won't be going there with a lot of competition behind her alongside Katie Guest, her guide. Meanwhile, Paralympics GB have named their first athletes for the Games. In alpine skiing, we've got gold medalist Neil Simpson returning alongside his brother Andrew and his other guide, Rob Poth. So what Neil will do there is he'll have a guide for some events and a different guide for some other events because he's targeting 5 different events at the Games. Scott Mina will compete in para-Nordic skiing, and the first 2 snowboarders have also been confirmed, James Barnes-Miller and Ollie Hill. And we also know who the Paralympics GB curlers will be too in Italy: Hugh Niblo, Stuart Pimblett, Austin McKenzie, Graham Stewart, Karen Aspey, Jason Keane and Joe Butterfield. And Joe is aiming to become the first Briton to win Paralympic gold medals at both the Winter and Summer Games.
That would be a heck of a story. And you mentioned about Menna Fitzpatrick. We wish her and Katie Guest all the best. As you say, we spoke to them in a recent episode of the podcast with GB Snowsport, worth listening back to, especially as Katie, of course, missed out on Beijing. But you kind of forget that the Paralympics, there's a bit more time to get fit. So when I saw that she was injured, I was like, oh my goodness, but of course it's 3 months away. So now 2 months away. So that's the good thing for Menna, that the injury happened, hopefully all being well, and she's got time to recover.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to spin that either way, aren't you? You're going to say that she's, if she goes there and doesn't achieve what we know she can achieve, you're going to say it's because she missed a lot of competition. But then you can also spin it the other way, that she will turn up at the Games and she'll be fit, healthy, and well rested and raring to go. We'll just have to wait and see.
Now, there was a statement from the IOC over the weekend after that awful, tragic fire in Switzerland on New Year's Eve. Absolutely awful to see the scenes there. Flags were flown at half-mast at Olympic House and Olympic Museum in Lausanne. And Kirsty Coventry, the IOC president, said in a statement that they stand in solidarity with the people of Switzerland. Good to see that reaction. Notice, though, no statement on the situation in Venezuela or the next summer hosts of the Olympic Games, America, as yet.
And the Swiss skiers were wearing black armbands at the women's skiing events over the weekend as well.
In other news from the Games, away from winter, although we keep saying it could be in the Winter Games programme in the future, cross country in athletics. After the British success of the Europeans, a team of 20 are heading to the Worlds in the relative summer conditions of Florida this month. The senior women's team for Great Britain will see European silver medalist Megan Keith lead the quartet in Tallahassee. Phoebe Anderson, Verity Ockenden and Poppy Tank also in action. In the senior men's squad, Rory Leonard, who was 17th at the Europeans, makes the squad alongside Matthew Ramsden, who finished an impressive 6th in the under-23 race in Portugal. Now, Alex Millard and Adam Fogg won the first ever bronze medal for Great Britain in 2024 in the World Cross-Country Championships. They return for the mixed relay squad, looking to win a medal again. And the event is returning to the United States for the first time since 1992. It'd be like running in the summer, though, in Florida. It's a bit odd, really, but I get it. It'll be a nice change from the winter conditions.
Yeah, and it's not going to be the one that they showcase to the IOC to say this is why you need to bring the event into the Winter Games, is it? You want to see them going through snow, ice and mud. Anyway, moving on. Confirmation just before Christmas. British Gymnastics has formally submitted its bid to World Gymnastics to bring the World Championships back to Liverpool and help to inspire and engage the next generation of gymnasts. Last stage of the Games on the banks of the Mersey back in 2022.
Tickets for the ITTF World Team Table Tennis Championships being held in London are now on sale. From April 28th to May 10th, 64 men and women's teams will be competing across 3 stages at the Copper Box in Olympic Park and the Wembley Arena.
And we were missed off again for our services to Olympics broadcasting.
You were.
In the King's New Year's Honours list. We were. Oh, I think we're like Torvill and Dean. I think you can't separate us. And I mentioned Torvill and Dean specifically because ahead of that Winter Games, we say congratulations to Dame Jane Torvill and Sir Christopher Dean, who recently hung up their ice skates with a big farewell tour. There was a great documentary about it on TV over the Christmas holidays. They finished with an emotional bolero performance back in Nottingham, where it all started for them. They led the sporting honours in the King's New Year list. Elsewhere, MBEs for two former guests of Great British Bosses. Maybe other bosses listening who fancy a gong. That's one of the things you should do. First up, Rugby League pioneer Julia Lee. Also, British Rowing's performance director Louise Kingsley was awarded the MBE, along with para-rower Frankie Allen. Although I have to say, Ben Pritchard, a huge omission in my mind on that honours list. Congratulations to Louise and Frankie, and brilliant for British Rowing that they got that credit, if you like. But Ben Pritchard, what he's done this year, should definitely be in consideration for a future list, if indeed he wants to accept an honour. Talking of omissions, Paris 2024 gold medalist Toby Roberts received an MBE. So he's the sport climber that you commentated on. Somehow he was missed out last year. I think the policies changed slightly. So previously, when you won an Olympic gold medal, your first Olympic gold medal, you would automatically get an MBE. But that didn't happen in some of the team sports. But most of the individual champions got MBEs. So like Keely Hodgkinson got one, but Toby Roberts didn't. And British Shooting's Nathan Hales is still waiting, as is Rory McIlroy. A lot of people thought he should have been on the list for what he did. Might have turned it down. You don't know, because there's obviously some sensitivities there in that he competes for Team Ireland, but he is obviously Northern Irish. And talking of Northern Ireland, Olympic champion gymnast Rhys McClenaghan, who competes for Team Ireland but is obviously Northern Irish, did accept the MBE, along with squash player Sarah Jane Perry, who also received an honour. Well done to them all.
Yeah, hoping to see Rhys in the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games. We've gone a whole episode without mentioning that takes place this year as well. It's going to be a busy year. Make sure you check out our fixture list, which is now available on the website, anythingbutfooty.com. All the latest: curling, triathlon, swimming, hockey, gymnastics, athletics, rowing, canoe slalom, table tennis, basketball, golf. All of them are on there as a full fixture list for 2026 on anythingbutfooty.com. Check out our socials, Anything But Footy, in the usual places. There is the Spotify Olympics music playlist. We need to add some Mariah to this, I think, before the Milan opening ceremony takes place. Get you in the mood for that. Stay with us. We are moving on to Milan and looking ahead to LA.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.